And a happy Merry Christmas to you. Happy Thanksgiving. All those Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Shemanga, anything like that.
All of it. You're right.
But glad to have you along with us. We're going to go to our guest line here in just a couple minutes. David Lubowitz, head coach of the East Lincoln Mustangs. Huge win on Friday night against Kings Mountain. I had the pleasure of doing that. That was my only game in the booth. I'm sorry, that was my first game in the booth, and I hope that's my only game in the booth this year. That makes for a really long day for me, so I just as soon leave that to Keever and Powell. That's fine with me.
Yeah, I mean, you are versatile. If there's a broadcaster that's more versatile, I don't know of him. You've been on the sidelines. You've done color.
I like the sidelines the best.
You've done color with me, and now play-by-play.
I've told you I like the sidelines. That's my favorite of all. I've done color with Appalachian. I've done color with Charlotte men's basketball. I've done play-by-play Charlotte baseball, Charlotte 49er baseball. So, yeah, I've made the rounds. If you want somebody to do something, if you don't think I'll make a fool out of myself, I'll do it.
Is there a sport out there that you would like to try that you'd never tried before?
I'm not real big on baseball.
How about wrestling?
I could probably do that. Basketball, I do okay. But basketball, you have to learn your pacing.
Yeah, you do.
You that's the biggest thing. You don't have time to think about it in basketball. It's on you.
How about volleyball?
Yeah, I could do volleyball. I mean, my daughter's played, so I could do that. But basketball takes a little bit. You got to get your legs under you to do basketball.
I have a friend who watches a lot of volleyball, and sometimes we'll go back and forth, and she'll say about what she's watching or a match that she's watching, and I kind of got a little bit excited watching the SEC. Yeah. And some of those girls, 6'4", 6'5"?
They're for real.
Man.
They are for real. It's funny. Calvin and I talk about this all the time. When you tell somebody, I don't have to do a ball game. What, you don't want to go do a ball game? He said, well, those first 300 were pretty fun, but after that, and you've worked all day, and, my day starts about 5. Yeah. I'm in here at 5 o'clock in the morning. Wow. And it was 11:30 till I got in bed on Friday night.
I mean, I have people ask me, how come you don't do the crawdads anymore? And I did the PA for the crawdads for 19 years. So you multiply 19 times.
Yeah, 175,000.
No.
Yeah. Yes.
I probably did 500 crawdad games.
Yeah. No, I'm going to pass.
As a PA announcer.
I'm going to go ahead and pass.
So I admire anybody that's done it. And again, I really do admire somebody that's stuck with it all those years, especially – somebody that's not, at the very top, like a major league or whatever. Somebody that's in the minor leagues or
Matt Swearhead.
Yeah, Matt has done it for a long time.
And
At
does
least
a great job.
30 years.
And does everything. He does Charlotte football, Charlotte basketball, and
Charlotte Knights.
Charlotte Knights baseball.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Richie, happy firing day. I do want to mention that a little bit later on. I'm trying to figure out how you bring a coach back to a conference that you ran him out on a rail, but he's back now. Thank you, Chris Montgomery. Chris says, I'm a great mentor. Thank you, sir. Mark Alton, how are we, sir? Happy National French Bread Day.
Oh, yeah, I love French
bread. I was down
bread.
in your part of the world this weekend, Mark. I drove down yesterday. It took 5 hours to get to Raleigh because we went with the rain. We were in the rain all the way. In between Rex and rain, it was a double R day, Rex and rain. It was not pretty. Richie, good evening. Glad to have you with us as well. Did you give him a little bit and let me get Coach Lubowitz on?
Give him a little bit. Okay. So we're going to be talking a lot of football coming up with, of course, East Lincoln and Drawn are the only two local teams, regional teams, still left in the playoffs. We're also going to talk a little college football, as you heard Lanny say. We got a couple of special guests later on. Monday Night Football tonight, Steelers play the Colts, and I think that's going to be interesting because you have the Colts and their new coach, temporary interim coach who got a lot of criticism that, from coaches that went through the ranks, came up through the ranks, put their time in, and all of a sudden here's a guy who's never coached before, Jeff Saturday, and he's taken over the Colts, and they've gone 1-1 and could have easily gone 2-0. And then you got a guy like Mike Tomlin tonight who's been coaching for 15 or 16 years. So I'm guessing, one of the former Steeler coaches, Bill Cowher, came out and really criticized the hiring of Jeff Saturday. So it's going to be interesting. The former coach from the Steelers, will the new coach be able – is this going to be coach versus coach tonight in Monday Night Football, I guess is the one thing we're going to be talking about. And Josh Carney, who covers the Steelers for the Steelers Depot, and some other things as well. He's going to be talking to us about that.
I'm going to tell you something. I don't care how much time you put in. You are guaranteed nothing. It's not the way it works.
I know.
Okay, just I want to make sure and throw that out there. Let me go to our guest line. Bring on head coach East Lincoln Mustangs. Coach Lewis, thanks for joining me on short notice.
Hey, thank you for having me, man. I always enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you something. I was not scheduled to do that game on Friday night because I don't do Friday night games anymore unless I just absolutely have to because, as I was saying earlier, my day starts here in studio about 5 o'clock in the morning. That's a long day. And not that I don't enjoy doing it, but it makes a long day. But I'm going to tell you what, you guys made it worth me making the trip down there. I was stunned and surprised. I mean, and I got to be honest with you, your defense is one of the best I've seen anywhere.
As far as the stunned and surprised, I think everybody at Kings Mountain was stunned and surprised, including some of our coaches. We just had everything go right in that first quarter that could possibly go right. We got a stop, we got a turnover, we got a special team defense that I've seen at East Lincoln in the 16 years I've been there. Man for man, maybe not the best players. You know, we probably might have had a couple of good players here and there, but this is the best team defense. They're long, they're fast, they're mean. It's really fantastic to watch them fly around.
You took a quarterback in Kings Mountain that came into that game with over 2,400 yards in passing and basically shut him out. They went to, I believe, in the second quarter, I'm not exactly sure what it was, but it was a version of a power I, except it was what I'd call a power pistol. They went toe-to-toe up front with the lineman. They put, I called it double H-backs between, looked like behind the guard and tackle, and then they had a pistol running back. It just ran power plays primarily to the left, and they did make some progress, but there was no way to stop and try to catch up the high power you guys were putting out there.
Yeah, they ran that set. We called it just their big set, and when they got into it, we just check big. But when they got into it, they moved the ball a little bit. But when they'd gotten into it in the past, they'd gotten into it on the goal line or 4th and 1. It wasn't something they had to do all the way down the field. So we were really happy for them to get into it, because if they would have stayed in that the rest of the game, you know, the game would have been over, and we already had a decent lead. So. It was. They definitely gained some yards in that set, but we weren't. We were trying to not give up that big play and make them grind it a little bit, and I think it worked.
Yeah, I was going to say, hey, Coach, this is Juju Phillips. Congratulations on your fine season this year. When you look at this team, and I was just looking at the stats and read some game stories, I have not. When you get to this far in the playoffs, 3 or 4 rounds into the playoffs, do you have teams that score so many different ways that you did Friday night with so many big plays? Did that surprise you?
Oh, yeah. There wasn't a lot that didn't surprise me from Friday night. We had a tackle who had the flu that Thursday said his mom said he probably wasn't going to be able to play, and he probably took about 75% of the snaps Friday night. That was amazing. Keandre Walker, number 2, had been hobbled by a hamstring, so we thought he'd be able to catch some balls, but we didn't know he was going to have a punt return, an interception return, and a amazing touchdown catch. You know, so the kids have amazed me every week. As much as the people that have followed us can see, every week we've got a different hero, we've got a different kid that steps up. They're just an amazing group of kids to be around.
Coach, we talked about it on Friday night, and I told Juju, and if I'm not mistaken, Mike Powell was doing the stats, and I don't know what the play was, but it was almost like a delayed crossbuck up inside, straight up the middle, but you scored 3 times on the same play, and I think it was for 40, 60, and 80 yards. It was amazing to me that it could happen 3 times off the same play.
Yeah, I think 2 of them were the exact identical play. There was a third play that Ben Cutter actually ran that wasn't a touchdown but was a big gainer. I think it was about 35 yards. And the other time it was a different play, but same concept. It was a single trap. The other 2, I guess what you're calling that crossbuck, is our counter play. And going into it, we weren't sure how good we were going to be able to block that. We love counter. We love counter offensively. But single back counter's tough when their defensive ends were as good as Kings Mountain. So we went with the 2-back counter, and we had a lot of faith that Chris Daly, Deuce there, was going to be able to find. He finds little seams.
He's a man,
but he can find that little seam.
Yeah, that's a man-child right there. If I'm not mistaken, he's over 6 foot, about 230 pounds, and he can move.
He can move.
And a sophomore, right?
Yeah, just a sophomore. Yeah. Quiet kid, too, man. Just a quiet kid. Really great kid. I mean, good manners, polite, got like a 3.8 GPA. He's got these big, long dreadlocks that hang in his face, but he doesn't cause any problems, no trouble, just a yes sir, no sir, and he's got vision and speed and power, and we're excited to have him for another 2 years, I'll tell you that much.
Coach, what's it like if you could maybe talk about this time of year? Sometimes kids are thinking about other things and other sport coming up. What's it like practicing and having these kids? I'm sure you have their attention about everything you say in prepping for practice. How has that been for you this year?
Well, it's hard. It is hard. You know, the kids have other interests and they have other things going on. We got a couple basketball players, a couple wrestlers. I'd say the first couple weeks of the playoffs are a lot harder to keep their attention because there's not as much intensity involved there, you know, as far as like there's not a goal because it's just the first week or the second week. But as we've gotten into this third and fourth week, and today's practice was probably the quietest I've seen them, the kids are dialing in. They're starting.
Whoops.
Did we lose you, Coach?
He said they were dialed in.
And he dialed out.
Yeah, he dialed out. You can give him a call back.
I will.
Coming up next for East Lincoln, and I saw this. They have outscored their opponents this year 578 to 87. They average 41 points a game and give up, 87 divided by 14? What is that, about 4-5 points a game? Something like that. They've had 3 shutouts. They've scored 3 points, allowed 3 points or less in 2 other games. Up until this game against Kings Mountain, the highest point total they've given or allowed was 12 points against Hickory earlier this year, and then 20 points against Kings Mountain. So, it's been a phenomenal run. Again, we have the coach back on as – all right. So, Coach Lieberwitz was addressing the fact that, Coach, we got you cut off right there at the very end. You said you were dialed in. Talk about that. The kids were.
Yeah, the kids today, as we're getting farther along in the playoffs, just really seem to be dialing in more and more. But that first week, when you got basketball starting and wrestling starting and indoor track and all that, the kids, they see their friends going other places. It's hard on them, but I think it's gotten better here the last couple weeks. It is tough, though. You're right with the question. It's a tough thing to keep their focus.
And it's hard. I'm not a big fan of the 6 rounds of playoffs. That's 60% of a season right there. I understand what they're trying to do, but, boys, that's a long season for a high school kid. 16 games if you make it all the way to state championship.
16 games and 2 scrimmages. That's 18 games.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a long time for a kid to play. You think about the college playoffs, 2 teams are going to play 14 games, the whole 120 teams, and we've got, 4 that are going to play 16 plus 2 scrimmages, 18 games this year in just North Carolina. I think it's too much. We talked a little bit about that this week with a bunch of coaches brought it up. I think you got to go, 10 regular season, more classifications, and 5 weeks of the playoffs. I think 15 games, get it to where they're not missing so much basketball, get it to where the seasons aren't so long. I think you're doing a disservice to the kids who want to do multiple sports or want to enjoy high school.
Yep, I agree with you 100%. Coach, give us a little preview of this week's matchup. Going to play South Point, and I know you hear this, and I know the kids read the paper. Kings Mountain beat South Point pretty soundly. I want to say a couple touchdowns, and you can't let that get in their head.
No, we talked. That's the first thing Coach Beam talked about today when he grabbed the kids. He said, don't go, looking in the paper and don't go looking at scores because you can never compare a team to a team. And obviously South Point style is a lot different than Kings Mountain. We match up pretty well with Kings Mountain because we're pretty athletic. That South Point now, it's a whole different beast. It's like you're playing a whole different ball game there. It's like not even football anymore. You're playing scrum rugby. So, to prepare the kids for – and any week, man, any week they could get you. So we're not going to look at that score. We're not going to even show the kids that game because we don't want them to start to think about, we beat the team who beat South Point because it's just 2 different animals, 2 different beasts.
Coach, they run the triple option. Their offensive coordinator used to be the quarterback at LR when they made it to the national championship game back in 2013, Josh Justice. Is their offense similar to what North Lincoln runs with Coach Basil?
It is. Coach Basil doesn't do as much with he doesn't do as much with the formations and the splits as South Point does, as Coach Hodge does. Coach Hodge, he'll mess around with formations. He'll mess around with splits on the offensive line, not so much to give you a tell, but just to kind of manipulate the defense. Coach Basil's more of a toe-to-toe, hey, we're coming, try and stop us. Well, at least this year. I'll tell you what, in the past, Basil has been a split guy. So I guess it goes on the personnel you have. They are very similar, but they have some distinct differences too. But, I mean, when you face the triple, it's going to be a nightmare anytime you face it.
Well, Coach, I won't keep you. I know you got a lot to do, busy week, and best of luck to you this weekend. We'll be down for coverage. We'll have it here on WLON. And, again, I appreciate you taking the time to spend a little time with us.
Hey, thank you, man. Anytime. Thanks,
Coach. We appreciate it. That's Coach Lubowitz from East Lincoln, and I'm gonna tell you that was an impressive ball game. I thought, and in our picks and stuff, I thought that game was kind of a toss up. I thought they matched up well,
and you give it the advantage to the home team.
And I did, and turf. I give it to the home team and turf. Now, who told me? Might have been Keever told me they went up to South Lake Christian and used their turf fields for some practice. East Lincoln did.
Okay.
Getting ready for this, which that's, when I was at Clemson, even back in 1978, we had real turf, but we had a turf field that we could go practice on if we were going to turf that week. It was really a soccer field, but that's where we would go and practice so that we could get used to the turf. Now, that's back when it was carpet.
Yeah,
that was asphalt with a layer of carpet on top of it, not the spongy stuff you got now. It was kind of the real deal. Let me take a time out. When we come back, Hugh Freeze is being announced as the new head coach at Auburn. I know you find this hard to believe, but I got a few thoughts on that.
Untangling your headphones, finding the right remote, saying goodbye to your favorite shirt that hasn't fit in 10 years. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with auto owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Call Mooney Insurance in Maiden or East Lincoln Insurance in Denver or visit MooneyInsurance.com.
Times convenience stores are more than convenient. They're your neighborhood store, your store. With locations in Lincoln, Catawba, Gaston, Iredell, and Mecklenburg counties, there's one near you. Times convenience stores have the right items at the right price, from snacks, cold drinks, and light meals from the grill, and there's always a special to save you time and money. Times has what you need. Times convenience stores, there's one near you. Regardless of where you're going, there's one on your way. Remember, there's always time to stop by Times. Have you thought about when you would like to retire? One of your major assets is planning for retirement is time, and you lose a little of it each day. The longer you wait to start accumulating capital for retirement, the harder it's going to be. How should you plan for retirement? Start by calculating approximately how much capital you will need at retirement, then estimate how much you will have to put away each year. Finally, carefully choose the investments in which you will invest. Stiefel Nicholas can assist you. Call Ford Rembert today at 828-624-7300. Stiefel Nicholas, member SIPC, and the New York Stock Exchange.
First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County since 1940. And as it has been from the beginning, customer service is a priority to First Federal Savings Bank. They want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, the products, and the services that the larger banks have, but with hometown people that you see throughout your community. Stop in and visit one of their 4 convenient locations and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Whether it's a sit-down meal or a call-in for the drive-thru, Brookwood Cafe and Catering is the answer. A variety of meats, vegetables, and desserts cooked daily, or a hot sandwich from the grill, they have what you're looking for to satisfy your taste buds. If you need catering from 5 to 500, Brookwood has you covered as well. Stop by Brookwood Cafe and Catering at 202 Providence Mill Road in Maiden. Don't forget breakfast daily till 11 a.m. Open Tuesday 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., Wednesday through Saturday 6 a.m. till 8 p.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call 828-428-8944 to place your order today.
Covenant Church began as a vision of just over 100 people in 1984. Since then, Covenant Church has grown and currently located at 2168 Gastonia Highway in Lincoln. The Sunday schedule includes early morning worship at 8:30, Sunday school at 9:45, and morning worship at 10:45. Their ministries extend beyond Sunday. Visit their website at www.covenantchurch.church to see all they have to offer, and better yet, stop by and see for yourself. Covenant Church may be just what you're looking for a new church home.
If you ask around, you'll find Burke Mortuary has a reputation for excellence and commitment to value. They've built a reputation of trust for more than 35 years. Burke Mortuary is proud to offer personal attention, meaningful tributes, and the area's most affordable prices. They're also proud to offer you beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities. It's the perfect place to honor your loved one. So when choosing a funeral home, the choice is easy. Choose Burke Mortuary with locations in Maiden and Newton.
In the best of times, no one is more deserving of every opportunity, encouragement, and support than the youth in our communities. Parents, teachers, coaches, and sponsors struggle to stretch their budgets to continue help. Communities need a team effort. Times Oil Corporation, a longtime member of the community, established the Times Educational Alliance Mission, or Team Foundation. Since 2011, over $125,000 in grants have been donated in the community. Times Oil and the Team Foundation are proud to be community partners.
And welcome back. Glad to have you here on a Monday night. Chilly Willy Monday night, even though it's 56 degrees, but if you're taking like 4,000 milligrams of blood thinner, you get cold. You get cold. My daughter freaked out yesterday. We were in Raleigh. I had nicked a cuticle, okay? Could not get it to stop bleeding.
Like a paper cut.
Yeah, could not get it to stop bleeding. Finally, we stopped and got some Band-Aids. And she said, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's just part of it when something like that happens now." And I said, I better be glad I'm not a woman, because if I had my monthly, I'm liable to bleed to death. She said, "Really?" I'm like, no, just. But it's okay. Let's see here.
This is not Black Monday, right? That's next, or is it? College football's Black Monday.
Today. That's what Richie was referring to when he said it's hiring and firing day.
Okay.
In college football. Hugh Freeze looks like is moving to Auburn. There was some speculation, may not happen, but, they're going to let him back in. Matt Hodge said that was impressive defense, talking about East Lincoln, and again, we thank Coach Lubowitz. Lincoln said Texas was playing 18 games if they went to the state championship. Wow. And they've got like a bazillion divisions too. I mean, they've got I just think 16's too many. Yeah, I'd really like to see 14. I'd like to see 4 rounds, including state championship. However many divisions you got to make it to make that work. But and yes, Ernie, how about them Gamecocks? But let me go ahead and tell you, I had made that prediction. I'd already made that prediction that the Tigers would get beat by South Carolina, okay, affectionately referred to as the Chickens by me. And my buddy up in Baltimore, he was texting me, "Are you believing this?" I said, "I told you. I called it." Biggest win in Shane Beamer's career. Glad his dad was there to see it. Shane should have got the Virginia Tech job. So that's who should have gotten it. And I have said –
But he coached at South Carolina under Spurrier, right?
I think that's right. I'm going to say this again. Clemson's going to get beat again because he will not make a change for DJ. Clemson can't score at the pace Carolina can score. That's where it's going to be. And you don't have the emotion of the NC State-Carolina matchup. I think Clemson takes a third loss. I said that 2 weeks ago. I think
Clemson's defense just is – they can slow Carolina down more than Carolina's defense can slow Clemson down.
Clemson they don't have to have a defense. They don't have to have
Maybe he'll make a
down.
change of quarterback then. Too late.
He's already said DJ is his starter for Saturday. Already said it. Said it yesterday.
If he comes out and struggles?
Doesn't matter. You can't go into the week and make a change in the game. It's too late then. I don't know what it is.
If they're trailing at halftime, 17-3.
I still don't think it makes a difference. I don't know what it is The only thing that I can even come close to thinking is the freshman's not ready. But the little bit I saw him play, I thought he was as good, if not better, than what they had on the field with DJ.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you were losing. I told you, I'm losing with my future, not with my past. If I'm not playing well, I'm going to put a younger kid in there that's going to get him experienced and playing with somebody. I don't think DJ returns. He can go into the draft. I don't think if he goes really late.
Or a free agent.
Or a free agent,
yeah.
yes.
Undrafted free
and
agent.
I don't see him entering the portal because I don't know who's going to scarf him up. He doesn't read defenses well. Doesn't make decisions
in fact,
well.
he doesn't read them. He's a slow processor.
Processing it, yeah. Yep. But congratulations to the Gamecocks. And I like Shane Beamer. Okay, not a Gamecock fan, but I like Shane Beamer. Chad said he called the Auburn hire, and they just gave Freeze 8-year deal, I believe it was, at Liberty. Just not long ago.
Yeah,
but I'm sure that they knew where the buyout was, and Auburn doesn't care.
And they're already paying, 2 other coaches?
Yeah, doesn't matter. Chad, that's already been settled. DJ's starting. Dabo came out yesterday. DJ starting at quarterback, making no changes. Milton says Pittsburgh has settled for successful mediocrity. Tomlin wins enough to not get fired, and Pittsburgh doesn't fire coaches.
And they'll, at least,
I don't know how bad it would have to get for them to make that kind of move.
Well, if they finish 3-14, if they lose the rest of their games, I think that's bad enough.
And you and I have had this discussion, and we differ on it a little bit.
Yeah.
I think that's
here's
Milton. What you say when you say successful mediocrity, that's kind of what it is.
Yeah, we haven't had a playoff game in six
because
years.
Tomlin got his win in the Super Bowl with Cowers players, more so than his players and his schemes.
Correct. They haven't been to the playoffs in a number of years.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't won a playoff game. Well, they were in the playoffs last year, but they haven't won a playoff game in over 6 years. The Pirates, the Pittsburgh Baseball Club, who have had 3-4 winning seasons in 40 years, they have more playoff wins than the Steelers have had since 2013. And they never go to the playoffs. So, yeah, I mean, it's a dry spell. And we'll ask Josh Carney, the Steelers reporter, when he joins us in about 15 minutes, about where are the Steelers now? Are they, I don't say they're tanking, are they more worried about getting as many wins as you can, maybe avoid the coach having his first losing season and try to develop their young guys?
They can't have a winning season.
They can. They got a pretty easy schedule. If you look at the schedule, they have an easy schedule. They could conceivably go 9-8.
Okay.
But I don't think they're going to.
Okay, Coach, I'm going to go ahead and say they're not.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead
I agree with you. I don't think they will either.
Yeah.
But if you're a Steeler fan, do you want to have a higher draft pick?
I know. But what are you going to do with it? You don't have any kind of offensive guru.
No, they again, think about an offensive coordinator. But they'll have 3 draft picks, probably.
All defense.
No, they got to get an offensive lineman. They need a left tackle.
Okay. We'll see.
And they'll need a cornerback as well.
Or they'll trade it.
And no, they don't trade.
Okay.
I don't think they'll trade down.
Milton said just like George Seifert did with Walsh's 49ers. That is correct. He won his Super Bowl with Walsh's 49ers.
And when he came to the Panthers,
he had a joke.
He had the only
clue.
Good thing he did was he drafted Steve Smith.
No clue. He had no clue.
Well, not even that. I don't
Steve
think
Smith, the Hall of Famer.
Yeah, eventually.
Okay.
Eventually.
Golden Gloves. Golden Gloves.
What?
Is a Golden Gloves football player? He beat the eyes shut of 2 players, one of them in the film room.
Yeah.
I'm never getting past it, okay? I am like my wife. I'm going to hold a grudge, and I hold a grudge. Not taking anything away from Steve's abilities. That bothers me when you beat a teammate in a film room. Now, you get in a fight on the field, heat of the moment, I can deal with that.
Yeah.
I don't like it, but I can deal with it.
Yeah.
In a film room, no. Shelton said he's going with Clemson. Good luck with that. And Ernie.
We got chicken sandwich, don't we?
Huh?
You think Carolina will beat Clemson?
Yep, I do. Wait, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. Can I rephrase that? I think Clemson will lose to Carolina. I don't think Carolina will beat them. I think Clemson will lose to Carolina.
What does Carolina
There's a difference.
What does Carolina have to play for now after losing these last couple of games? I mean, they were.
Well, I've said this.
They were New Year's Six. If they had won
Mm-hmm.
and won out, they were New Year's Six bowl game, staring at them right in the face.
And an outside chance of making the playoffs.
Outside, yeah.
If they won the ACC championship, they'd have to.
And I don't know if they would have jumped Alabama or Michigan.
Well, Alabama's 2 losses.
So?
Mm-hmm.
But both on the last play of the game?
I don't know. Chad said Panthers lost coaches to Rule today at Nebraska.
Yeah.
Will we know the difference? That's my question. Will the Panthers know the difference? Panthers looked pretty good yesterday.
They did.
But
and
how
bad is Russell Wilson?
He's not. He doesn't have a coach.
Hackett
thought Aaron Rodgers was coming with him to Denver. That's what they thought. And it didn't happen.
I just think he's I'll say over the hill, but he's pretty close. He's climbing it. He's not over it yet, but he's up there. And Rodgers is out for the rest of the year. But that Russell Wilson doesn't look nearly. He's a shell of his former self.
But is it based on what they're trying to do with him?
I think it's both.
Okay.
I think it's both.
I do. Let's see. I got one more. Ernie said that Rudy, who's the general manager, general sales manager, whatever, up at the Paramount, Rudy's a big Clemson guy, said he had to be restrained at work on Saturday. I was frustrated, but I wasn't surprised. But
there were so many breakdowns for Clemson on the special teams that you normally would not expect this time of the year.
Two problems. Okay, this is Lanny's opinion. You don't have to agree with it. You don't have to like it. I'm just going to give it to you because I pay the bills here. Dabo, in my opinion, has held on to DJ for too long. Now, maybe he's got reasons there, and maybe those reasons are the freshman's not ready. That's on him, that he didn't have another quarterback ready because he saw this last year with DJ.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Number two, Dabo was too loyal to a fault in promoting those two assistants to coordinators in a program like that.
Maybe he needs to do what he did earlier and go outside and bring in people.
Well, it's hard for him to do that. He's
a
loyalty guy.
Yeah, but he did it before.
He's different now. He's different now. He's a loyalty guy.
He did that with Venables.
Mm-hmm.
He did that with Billy, what's his name, who's now at Florida?
Not Billy Napier.
Yeah,
Billy Napier. That's right. And then what's the Chad Steele was another one he went outside and did.
Chad Morris.
Chad Morris. Okay. I don't know. I think my wife hates me when I say things like this. I think Dabo's been reading too many of his own press clippings. And I get Andrew. Andrew's not listening tonight, or I'd already heard from Andrew because he's a diehard Duke Blue Devil that pulls for Clemson because he married into the family during football because Duke don't play football.
They do. They're not, and their coach might be ACC Coach of the Year.
Not to the level of Clemson and not to the level of Duke basketball.
They're 8-4.
I know.
He may be Coach of the Year.
In a very pathetic ACC, I might add.
They had 3 or 4 teams this year in the top 25.
Florida State's the only surprise that I think for the ACC.
Well, then Wake was good, and then they got
imploded.
Hurt. And
State imploded.
Well,
Carolina imploded.
Mm-hmm.
Syracuse imploded.
State they have
Pitt imploded.
No,
Who was it?
Pitt's 8-4.
I know,
imploded?
but what was his name? Desmond Howard picked him to be in the Final Four.
No, he didn't pick Pitt. He
did.
He picked somebody else like Pitt.
No,
he picked Pitt.
Okay. Somebody look at it for me.
Okay.
Get my producer.
I don't think it was Pitt.
Okay, we'll look that up when we take a break. I'm just saying.
He picked somebody that was unusual. You said, wait a minute, what is he smoking? But I don't think it was Pitt. It may have been.
Okay, well, we'll find out. It's okay. It's okay. I'm not going to get.
It'll be the first time I've been wrong all month.
There you go. Now
Let me tell my students.
Let me give you this. This is. I'm going to switch gears just a second before we get Josh on. The NFL is dismal this year, and I'll tell you why.
No offense.
And the rules are skewed that way. How about the South? The Bucks are 5-6, the Falcons 5-7, the Panthers 4-8, the Saints 4-8.
Mm-hmm. Worst division in football.
The West, the 49ers 7-4, Seahawks 6-5,
surprise.
Cardinals 4-8, and the Rams 3-8. What has happened there?
They got a bunch of injuries.
Well, Stafford.
And they got some other they have offensive line injuries. Their best left tackle retired after the Super Bowl. They're a shell of their former self. And they sold the farm to win all last year. They have no draft picks. So they're either going to have to sign a bunch of free agents, cut a bunch of guys because they're way over the salary cap. They're a mess.
And then you've got the North, the surprising Vikings at 9-2, and the rest of that division are pathetic. The Lions in second place at 4-7. 4-8, the Packers, and the Bears at 3-9. You get to the East, you got the Eagles on top at 10-1, the Cowboys at 8-3, the Giants at 7-4, and the Commanders at 7-5. If there's a team that has overachieved, it is the Washington Commanders.
Yeah,
and I attribute that
Coach of the Year
to Ron Rivera.
100th victory yesterday.
Yep. You go to the AFC in the
West. With a backup quarterback, no less.
Practice player quarterback.
Huh?
Practice player technically.
Oh, Taylor Heineke.
Yeah. I'm not even sure he's a good journeyman, but he's a game manager.
Yeah.
He goes there and does what you want him to do. The Chiefs are 9-2. The Chargers are 6-5. The Raiders are 4-7.
If
the Broncos are 3-8.
If the Chargers get healthy, their offense and that quarterback will be dangerous. But their defense is a bunch of their guys on defense are hurt. The Bosa kid never plays. He's always hurt.
Do you know? I saw rumors. Sean Payton.
Oh, to San Diego.
San Diego,
Los Angeles Chargers.
Yes, San Diego. The Chargers, and the other one is. Who was the other one that he was associated with? Who else would be a place? They still got a coach, but would still – could it be the Raiders?
Maybe.
Who's the Raiders?
Josh McDaniels. He was the first year.
Okay. I think he will only look at a job that he knows he's got a franchise quarterback.
And he can have say-so in personnel matters. Not be the general manager, but have really, have a big voice in the room, so to speak.
So if you look through here, let's just say if it ended today, in the NFC, how many teams? 8? It at 8 now?
7, 14 total.
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
So there's 5.
So the Eagles go. The Vikings go. That's your 2 division winners.
Yeah.
And it would be the Bucks and the 49ers. Okay, there would be 4. And then next would be the Cowboys at a wild card.
There's 7. You got.
And you know what would be surprising? The entire NFC East would go if it ended today.
Is it 8 or is it 7?
I can't remember. We can look it up. And then in the AFC, it's a little bit different. You've got the Dolphins or the Bills, and the other one would go as a wild card.
What? And the Patriots are there too, and the Jets.
Because there are in the AFC, there is 1, 2, 3, 4 teams that are 7-4 right now. You would have Bills and Dolphins. And then Ravens, Bengals, Jets, and then the Titans would get 1, and then the Chiefs. That would be your teams.
And the Patriots are there, too, because they're right behind. I think they're 6-5.
6-5. Yeah. They're
And
6-5.
those teams will eliminate each other because they play each other down the stretch.
Right. So it's going to get interesting, to say the least. It's going to get interesting. We need to take a break, and then Josh Carney is going to join us, and we can ask him about the Steelers. And I'll be more than happy to sit over here and sit quietly because I'm a hater.
Untangling your headphones, finding the right remote, saying goodbye to your favorite shirt that hasn't fit in 10 years. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with auto owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Call Mooney Insurance in Maiden or East Lincoln Insurance in Denver or visit mooneyinsurance.com. Times convenience stores are more than convenient. They're your neighborhood store, your store. With locations in Lincoln, Catawba, Gaston, Iredell, and Mecklenburg counties, there's one near you. Times convenience stores have the right items at the right price, from snacks, cold drinks, and light meals from the grill, and there's always a special to save you time and money. Times has what you need. Times convenience stores, there's one near you. Regardless of where you're going, there's one on your way. Remember, there's always time to stop by Times. Have you thought about when you would like to retire? One of your major assets is planning for retirement is time, and you lose a little of it each day. The longer you wait to start accumulating capital for retirement, the harder it's going to be. How should you plan for retirement? Start by calculating approximately how much capital you will need at retirement, then estimate how much you will have to put away each year. Finally, carefully choose the investments in which you will invest. Stiefel Nicholas can assist you. Call Ford Rembert today at 828-624-7300. Stiefel Nicholas, member SIPC, and the New York Stock Exchange.
First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County since 1940. And as it has been from the beginning, customer service is a priority to First Federal Savings Bank. They want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, the products, and the services that the larger banks have, but with hometown people that you see throughout your community. Stop in and visit one of their 4 convenient locations and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Whether it's a sit-down meal or a call-in for the drive-thru, Brookwood Cafe and Catering is the answer. A variety of meats, vegetables, and desserts cooked daily, or a hot sandwich from the grill, they have what you're looking for to satisfy your taste buds. If you need catering from 5 to 500, Brookwood has you covered as well. Stop by Brookwood Cafe and Catering at 202 Providence Mill Road in Maiden. Don't forget breakfast daily till 11 a.m. Open Tuesday 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., Wednesday through Saturday 6 a.m. till 8 p.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call 828-428-8944 to place your order today.
Covenant Church began as a vision of just over 100 people in 1984. Since then, Covenant Church has grown and currently located at 2168 Gastonia Highway in Lincoln. The Sunday schedule includes early morning worship at 8:30, Sunday school at 9:45, and morning worship at 10:45. Their ministries extend beyond Sunday. Visit their website at www.covenantchurch.church to see all they have to offer, and better yet, stop by and see for yourself. Covenant Church may be just what you're looking for a new church home.
If you ask around, you'll find Burke Mortuary has a reputation for excellence and commitment to value. They've built a reputation of trust for more than 35 years. Burke Mortuary is proud to offer personal attention, meaningful tributes, and the area's most affordable prices. They're also proud to offer you beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities. It's the perfect place to honor your loved one. So when choosing a funeral home, the choice is easy. Choose Burke Mortuary with locations in Maiden and Newton.
In the best of times, no one is more deserving of every opportunity, encouragement, and support than the youth in our communities. Parents, teachers, coaches, and sponsors struggle to stretch their budgets to continue help. Communities need a team effort. Times Oil Corporation, a longtime member of the community, established the Times Educational Alliance Mission, or Team Foundation. Since 2011, over $125,000 in grants have been donated in the community. Times Oil and the Team Foundation are proud to be community partners.
And welcome back. Wrapping it up here on a Monday evening. We'll head back over to our guest line and bring him on. He covers the Steelers in-depthly, I guess is the way you would phrase it. And boy, do I have questions. Josh Carney, good evening to you, sir.
Good evening, guys. How are you?
Doing great. Is the seat getting hot in Pittsburgh, or are they just thinking this is a rebuilding year, or what's the temperature up there? What's the feeling of the fans, the organization?
With the organization, I mean, it's status quo, good and bad. They are a stable franchise no matter what. Mike Tomlin is as safe as it gets in the NFL. I know fans do not want to hear that, especially this year with the way things have transpired. I think the only hot seats there are in Pittsburgh currently reside underneath Matt Canada and Terrell Austin on both sides of the football as coordinators. But Mike Tomlin is as safe as it gets. They realize it's a transition year. I mean, they had a significant amount of change in the offseason, in the front office, on the roster itself. They have the youngest offense in the league from a starting 11 standpoint, average age. So they know it's a transition year. But there are some concerns and some issues with the coordinators. But, yeah, I know that's not the answer a lot of people want. But Mike Tomlin is as safe as it gets. But there could be changes with the coordinators, and I do expect Matt Canada to be out after this year.
Let me give you this, though, and I used to complain about Dan Henning all the time when he was the offensive coordinator with John Fox here at Carolina, and this is what I was told. Every play call goes through John Fox's headphones, which means the head coach has that final say. So don't always hang it on the coordinators. That's easy. And then we've got one of our listeners said, and I think this kind of sums it up, because I'm going back, Josh, further than just this year. He said Pittsburgh has settled for successful mediocrity, meaning we'll have winning season, maybe a playoff game here and there. That's not the Pittsburgh franchise that I grew up with and am still a fan of.
I don't know. I wouldn't say that they're settling for successful mediocrity. I mean, there is something to be said for the consistency that they've had. I think if you gave fans truth serum, they would prefer to have a team that's contending every year, is in the playoff picture every year, and has a chance at raising a Lombardi compared to going through the highs and lows of, okay, we're going to go all in for a 3-year window, and hey, if we don't win, we're going to go back to the doldrums of the league. I understand it's certainly frustrating, but I think there is something to be said for that stability. And as far as the play calling goes, I mean, Tomlin hears the offensive play calls, but he lets his coordinators make decisions. He's I don't want to say he's hands off. I think he steps back offensively because he knows what his strengths and his weaknesses are. He has a certain philosophy he wants to play by, which is running the football, minimizing mistakes, playing great defense. Obviously, that hasn't worked out this year. But, I mean, he does hear the play calls, but he's not going to interject and, kind of step on people's toes and say, no, this is what I want. He's more focused on the defensive side of the football, and I think that's where the concerns should be this year because, it is the highest paid defense in the league. They've got everybody fully healthy at this point, and they have not quite lived up to expectations that were placed on them coming into the year.
Speaking of offense, Josh, and the Steelers are trying to do this rebuild, whatever you want to call it, with a rookie quarterback. I've saw some of your posts on social media. How would you evaluate or rate the way Kenny Pickett has played in his first half dozen games?
I think the thing he's missing right now is the consistency. I know that there's been flashes, of a solid starting quarterback. I've compared him to peak Alex Smith, the height of his time in San Francisco, the early Kansas City years. A guy that can be that game manager, can make enough plays with his arms or with his legs, to help the offense move up and down the field. But he's always going to be that guy that you're never quite settled on. You're always looking at a potential upgrade, if that makes sense. But he's just missing that consistency factor. In recent weeks, coming out of the bye, he's pushed the football down the field more. His average depth of target has increased coming out of the bye. They're using the middle of the field more. But there are some head-scratching misses in the last 2 weeks where it's just like, where did that key trait of accuracy and anticipation go? Second half against the Bengals was a disaster for him. And it was because Cincinnati said, okay, we're going to stop blitzing. And they asked Kenny Pickett to try and beat them without any pressure. And he had a really tough time seeing guys open, pulling the trigger on some throws, and he had some really bad misses as far as accuracy goes. I think back to the play right after T.J. Watt's incredible interception. He misfired into triple coverage towards Zach Gentry and completely missed Connor Hayward wide open up the left sideline, or up the left seam, and then 2 plays later on third down, he threw the ball into the dirt at Deontay Johnson's feet. So it's that up and down roller coaster with a rookie quarterback, and the Steelers kind of signed up for that when Mike Tomlin made that decision at halftime of the Jets game. But he's shown flashes. He just needs to find that consistency right now. And I don't think anybody in their right mind is asking him to be Pat Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Josh Allen. Like, they just want a steady quarterback that can, make some plays with his arm, make some plays with his leg, not have that critical mistake. And we just haven't seen that consistently enough with Kenny Pickett.
But Josh, we're talking about Josh Carney, covers the Steelers. Does he have the right pieces around him that will allow him to do that and develop it where he's at in the early stage of his career?
Oh, I think so, absolutely.
Okay.
As far as on the field talent, the playmakers, you'd be hard pressed to find a better situation a rookie quarterback has stepped into as far as the amount of skill around him on paper. That's not addressing the offensive line. I think as he gets better protection, as the Steelers invest more in front of him, he will get better. But as far as the skill guys go, I mean, he's got a guy in Deontay Johnson who, I don't know if you guys saw those ESPN metrics, but he is the most open receiver in the NFL according to their open rate. You got George Pickens, who is really coming on strong here in the second half of his rookie year. Najee Harris has been under fire a lot this season, but he's still a good running back. I think you're starting to see Najee Harris returning to form in these last few weeks. And then Pat Fryermuth's one of the better young tight ends in football. So I think that the skill pieces are there. I still have concerns about the scheme, and then I have some concerns about the offensive line.
Hey, tonight the Steelers play the Colts, Monday Night Football. Steelers have a phenomenal record on Monday Night Football, even under Tomlin. And then you have the Colts with Jeff Saturday, who's been there for, a couple of weeks now. Is this game shaping up to be, in front, at least from the media standpoint, Tomlin versus Saturday, a guy that paid his dues, like Tomlin getting a job as head coach as a young guy, but here's Saturday, who's never coached before, got a lot of criticism when he was named coach, and yet seems like he has done a pretty good job with the Colts in a couple of weeks. Is there a lot of talk in Pittsburgh about this matchup tonight between the two coaches?
Yeah, in the sense that, some in the media here in town are kind of writing it off as an easy Steeler win, or that it should be, just because of the discrepancy in the head coaching positions. I don't think that's the case, though. I mean, this was a Colts team that a lot of people expected to be really good coming into the year, and for whatever reason, they just did not get off to a good start. They were a mess on both sides of the ball, and I think they kind of needed that wake-up call, and that's certainly what the hiring of Saturday was. They played a lot better in the last 2 weeks than they did prior to Saturday's hiring. I don't know if that says much about him as a coach from a personnel and X's and O's standpoint, and more of just, a great leader of men. That's a word that Tomlin has had thrown about regarding himself. But I do think people here are kind of labeling it as an easy win for the Steelers because of that discrepancy at the coaching position, and I don't think that's the case. There's still good assistants in Indianapolis on both sides of the football. There's still a ton of talent there, and I think you're going to kind of see that tonight.
We're talking with Josh Carney. I guess I failed to see where the Colts are going to really be that good with a very aging Matt Ryan at the helm for a quarterback.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the last 2 weeks with Saturday in charge, he kind of, from what I understand, he kind of came in and challenged that offensive line. Obviously, that offensive line has Quentin Nelson. That's the big star there. But they are a highly paid offensive line with Braden Smith, Ryan Kelly. They've got, a high draft pick in their left tackle there. he came in and challenged that offensive line to get back to that physical style they had last year with Jonathan Taylor, which was, run the football down teams' throats and have a quarterback that could make plays with his arm and not hurt them. And that's kind of been the key to their success in the last 2 weeks. In Las Vegas, he made a couple key throws. Taylor had the big 66-yard touchdown run. And then against the Eagles, Matt Ryan, just some quick hitters over the middle to Michael Pittman and Kylan Granson. Matt Ryan isn't the MVP level Matt Ryan he was in 2015, but he's still a smart, savvy quarterback that can get the ball out, can hit guys in stride, and then they've got some guys that can really make plays after the catch. So it's going to be a run-heavy game tonight, in my opinion, and they're not going to rely on Matt Ryan to beat the Steelers' defense.
I think one thing's for certain, I don't think Frank Reich will be without a job very long.
No, I think he will get snapped up rather quickly as an offensive coordinator somewhere. Maybe in Pittsburgh, quite honestly.
Yeah, no, I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're right. Josh Carney, thank you for the time, sir. As always, we appreciate it. Of course, we'll all be watching the game tonight. Appreciate you joining us.
Thank you, Josh.
Absolutely, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Josh Carney.
You know who one of the assistant coaches is for the Colts? John Fox. He's a defensive assistant.
Really? I
Yeah.
thought he had retired.
I think he's back as like an analyst or something like that.
Just need to check.
Interesting. Yeah, maybe.
The other team that, and I would have to question this one for a franchise quarterback, that Sean Payton is considering, and Mark Alton said it, it's Arizona, because most people feel Cliff Kingsbury is going to be out at the end of the season. I'm not totally sold on
Kyler Murray.
Kyler Murray.
I don't know him either.
I'm not quite there.
I was going to ask Josh, since the merger, the NFL merger, 1970, the Steelers have only finished last place twice. 1970, they went 1-13, Chuck Noll's first year, and again in 1988, they finished in last place in their division. That's twice in 50 years. So do they mail it in the rest of the year and finish with 3 or 4 wins and get a high draft pick, or will fans be happy? They're going to be happy with that, or they're going to be happy?
I'm a fan. I'm not happy with any of it.
So you just win as many games as you can and then settle whatever draft pick you get.
I'm still.
I think you try to win as many games as you can and develop the young players.
They have 7 games left, counting tonight.
Correct. And their schedule's pretty easy.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
They play the Falcons next week.
Mm-hmm.
They play the
Ravens
twice, and they'll split.
Panthers.
That's a win.
Raiders.
That's a win, possibly. It's in Pittsburgh.
Browns.
It's in Pittsburgh, too.
Mm-hmm.
Their
only road games are Falcons, Ravens, Panthers. That's their road games.
Yeah, they'll be here in middle of December in
Okay.
Charlotte. They can go 7-10.
How long for their last losing season?
Last losing season, 2003.
20 years.
Yeah.
19 years. Wow. Anything else, sir?
That's it.
That's it?
No. No, that's it. Oh, I was going to ask you have a discussion. What's happened to Appalachian State? I heard today they're going to make some changes on the defensive side of the coaching staff, because they're just not competitive defensively.
Well, they haven't been that great offensively either. And they've got, former ACC Power 5 quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know what's happened there. It's an ugly situation.
And they're not going to be bowl eligible. Even though they won 6 games.
Because one of the games was not.
2 of the games were against FCS schools.
Okay.
The Citadel and what other game that they played that they beat? It was an FCS school. So
now they were saying at the game that the winner would be bowl eligible.
The winner?
The winner. Had Appalachian won, they
would have been bowl eligible.
Yeah. But they would have had 6 wins, but they still wouldn't have given. But if they had 2 FCS wins, it still wouldn't have given but 5. I'm not sure who that was.
Maybe it's this one then. Maybe it was one of the two.
I'm going to flip there right quick and see if I can find it. Was that a 6 o'clock game?
Which one?
Appalachian.
It was a night
Yep,
game,
yep.
Saturday.
Okay.
Georgia State, overtime.
Citadel was it. Everybody else was. They lost to Carolina, James Madison, Texas State, Coastal, Marshall, Georgia Southern.
Robert Morris is an FCS school.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Then they had. Okay. Then they wouldn't.
I think they are an FCS school.
6-6. Let's see.
It's up in Pittsburgh.
The Colonels. God, they're 0-8 and 0-4 in their conference. Yeah, looking at who they play. Mm-hmm. Big South, FCS.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right, that'll wrap it up for us. No show in the morning. 4's got a conflict. I got to go pick up some shirts. But 4, remember, we'll be in-house Wednesday and Thursday.
Okay.
Wednesday
Making
and
up
Thursday
for it.
this week. Yep. Have a great night, everybody. Stay warm. Stay safe. I'll see you in a few.